Remember what happened in January when this whole thing started? Well, everybody was frustrated because of what Robinhood did in terms of preventing people from actually getting out of their positions by selling the stocks when prices hit very, very high. It's not only for AMC, not only for GameStop, but also for some of the other, what mainstream media is now calling the meme stocks, Cost, Express, Nokia, Bed Bath & Beyond, BlackBerry, etc., etc. Well, today we have a news that I believe is going to be possibly a game changer in how to approach this whole thing about what Robinhood did, possibly in collusion with Citadel Securities, to actually pull the rug underneath the retail investors. All right. So getting into the details of this article, it actually talks about a 27-year-old truck driver just becoming Robinhood's first big headache of 2022. So based on what happened in January, this guy decided to sue Robinhood, and FINRA was able to give him the victory, and Robinhood Securities and Robinhood Financial are both found, legally guilty. Yeah, guilty. That's the word, because they have to pay him back $30,000. And the big question is this going to be a simple FINRA arbitration award, for FINRA to actually kind of, give them a pat in the back because, hey, we did a good job, so let's just slide. Or this is going to be a breakthrough the wall of Robinhood's legal citadel, because all of the lawsuits so far are not going anywhere. So what is the actual story of this guy? All right. So less than a week into a new year, a 27-year-old truck driver from Connecticut might have given Robinhood a whole new thing to worry about in 2022. On January 6th, an arbitrator for the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, this is the FINRA, ruled that the zero commission trading platform Robinhood was liable for $29,460.77. It's pretty detailed in compensatory damages to Jose Batista, a retail investor who filed a complaint with the industry self-regulator in May. 6 months? Alleging that he had suffered significant investment losses due to Robinhood's decision to restrict trading on certain meme stocks at the height of January 2021's manic short squeeze. The judgment is the first of its kind to end with Robinhood paying money to a retail investor stemming from its trading restrictions, and could provide a blueprint for other individual traders hoping to get relief from Robinhood. This is one of the key part of this whole story, because again, this is not the first or the only retail investor actually trying to get compensation based on the events that happened back in January. But he's actually the first one who won not only the case, but also got money out of Robinhood. And that's why I think they're mentioning that this could provide a blueprint for other individual traders or retail investors hoping to get the same type of judgment on their cases. All right, because this guy, as you can see here, he not only bought AMC at GameStop, he also had Cost, he also had the fashion brand Express. All of these stocks went to the roof back in January, but Robinhood, as I said, pulled the rug underneath everybody involved in these stocks, especially retail investors, as Robinhood was the major app used back then. Is it still the case today? I don't think so, because the price went down significantly since this whole thing started. So you look at this last 6 months, at some point it went all the way up to $70, but since then, slowly and gradually, was dipping down. Not all of this, has to do with retail investors getting out of Robinhood or hating Robinhood, but it also has to do with this being a high growth stocks part of the NASDAQ, and the NASDAQ has kind of pulled back since, it's recovered a little bit, but you get my point. All right. So going back to the story. Batista said that also was trading in a big name like GameStop, at the time, but he has no intention of selling those, even though it had become willing to offload shares that he viewed may have peaked. This is the photo of the guy with his mother, the guys from Connecticut, Jose Batista. My plan was to sell Cost and Express that day. I had a lot, but no one could buy it. Batista, who had access only to Robinhood account at the time, grew increasingly desperate to trade his shares in some frothy meme stocks, fully aware that investors most eager to buy them at a premium simply could not, because they basically left me with no other option. Robinhood said to Batista, they were saying, you're just stuck, man. If you want to sell, just sell. I mean, why do you... I mean, I don't want to go through the whole thing, but you get the picture. You already know, we went through it many times in the last year. So the whole story here, and this is what I believe, it might have something to do with the next, how people approach this next legal case, because it might be, one of the blueprint, one of the, the blueprint, laying down the foundation for what could be, the ends. And the lawyer of Mr. Batista just said it. FINRA showed here that they were willing to adjudicate in case on the merits, said, Altamirano. This is the lawyer of Batista, as I mentioned. This opens the door for other investors to revisit that day in January and maybe take action. The idea that Batista $30,000 could turn into something larger, like a flurry of awards for damages that take a chunk out of Robinhood's legal citadel, may be an exciting one for the legions of apes, which are investors, to mention, still furious about January 2021, but at least one expert is taking a more measured view on the situation. He's saying that there is no precedential value to this award, and FINRA tends to go all over the place on these kinds of arbitration, cautioned Francis Curran, a securities litigation attorney at Cunman, Stratton, Allo, and Posner. So I think it's too soon to kind of tell, if this is the first trend, as this guy is mentioning here, but it certainly got to catch Robinhood's attention, because if FINRA was able to actually give victory on the legal case to this guy, but on top of that, give kind of, his money back that he was supposed to gain if he was let the ability to sell that day because other people will buy it, then I think, it's opening the door. It's opening the door, because if AMC back in January, all right, went all the way to $20 or $25 intraday and went all the way back down, it was precisely because people couldn't buy the stock. But if the buying pressure was not kind of killed, especially through Robinhood, because there were millions of people, millions of apes still using Robinhood, and even the first account they ever had trading stocks. I believe there were potential for this to actually go maybe to the 50s, maybe to the 70s back then in January, not only in June, but back then in January. So it would have been a game changer when it comes to the actual short squeeze, because there were much more people involved in AMC than there were in GameStop, given the price action, more affordable to lots of people, even new to the markets. Now, does it mean that, it would change the whole thing with the short squeeze? It had a potential to. That's what I believe. I believe it had the potential to actually do this, because if you really think about it, if all of us suddenly turned out and have the exact same type of case as, Mr. Batista, had, and using this as a blueprint, we go to FINRA or we go to whatever, judge and say, hey, here's the thing. I want my money, because if I didn't sell, or if I didn't prevent people from buying, I could have sold at this price and make this kind of money. It can literally bring down Robinhood to the ashes, forcing them to go to, potentially bankruptcy, because how many apes do we have? How many retail investors were buying all of these stocks back in January? Millions and millions and millions, not only in the US, but also outside of the US. This is what we call global financial markets. All right. So it doesn't look good so far for Robinhood, but when you look at the share price, it hasn't been affected so much. But when you look at where it was trading at 6-8 months ago, it's clear that people are kind of detaching themselves from Robinhood just because they killed the whole momentum and they betrayed investors. That's really what they feel. That's really what they kind of judge, and that is not good for the business and the reputation of Robinhood. So does it have the potential to actually bring the short squeeze? Nobody can say, I think it's maybe too early, but it has the potential of giving back the money into our pockets. Then we can then reuse, going through the right brokers, sending our orders to the right exchange by buying these stocks, hence increasing the buying pressure. Maybe that's why some of the top executives, including Adam Aron's CEO, kind of, know about, what is to come. Maybe it's something else. I'm just purely speculating here, folks. But it wouldn't surprise me if there was something coming that they know that we don't, pressuring them into buying more stocks. I covered it in a previous video. If you haven't watched, please make sure you did. Thanks.